I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:01. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'm also going to read our mission statement. In partnership with communities, the mission of the Dover Clinton Public School District is to educate individuals in an environment of trust and respect so they become self-directed, responsible, lifelong learners. All right, roll call. All board members are present, as is Superintendent Tegeson, our incoming Superintendent Shannon Hunstead. Tracy Tillotson is with us to do community ed, and we have some staff as guests. All right. Oh, that's for Laura.
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Any changes to the agenda?
No, please.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
No.
I'll take Nicole. David, you want a second?
I'll second.
Second by David. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have one person wishing to speak. Anna Knudsen is speaking for Ed, Minnesota. So I'm going to let you come up again. Amy needs to get the timer. You have 5 minutes. Oh, and for everybody watching, the executive order came through and we do not have to wear masks at board meetings anymore. So everybody's wondering.
1 minute, I'll have show us her.
All right.
Yep. Thank you for listening to me again. We just wanted to make sure that this was on record, so I do appreciate your time. Members of the DGF School Board, in November 2020, Education Minnesota DGF approached the board with concerns of the transparency of the learning models that were chosen per site while teaching during the pandemic. Teachers felt their voices were not being heard, and we asked to have a voice at the table. It did not happen. In February, during Meet and Confer, we brought up the issue that not all teachers were receiving the extra 30 minutes prep time that Governor Walz's Executive Order 2094 required of school districts. Again, our concerns were dismissed. On March 4th, 2021, we received an email from the superintendent saying we would return to a direct learning model on March 15th. The email went on to say staff teaching times, duties, and prep will return to normal pre-pandemic hours while we maintain the direct learning model. Teachers argued that this was not within the law and took the issue to court. After listening to witnesses and reviewing the evidence, Clayton County Court found in favor of the DGF teacher's position and awarded us immediate 30 additional prep time minutes per day. We received the notice of the court's decision on Tuesday morning, May 4th, 2021. But the district waited 3 days before contacting teachers, administrators, students, and families of the decision to modify the school calendar. The message sent out Friday, May 7th said the district has identified the last day of school for pre-K through 11th grade will now be Monday, May 17th. The district will use Tuesday, May 18th as preparation time for teachers. This response by the superintendent is inadequate and insulting for a number of reasons. First off, the decision to use the last day of school as a prep day defeats the purpose of preparation. The superintendent tried to make the case that teachers just wanted the extra time off, when in fact teachers were due the time to prepare for their students via the executive order. What are we preparing for now that students are not in the classroom? Secondly, the decision to alter the calendar was developed unilaterally by the superintendent without any prior communication or collaboration with the teachers. This violates the contract, which requires the district to meet and confer with the exclusive rep before changing the calendar. Next, the judge ruled that the teachers have been working without an additional 30 minutes of preparation time that they had been entitled to under the law. Therefore, providing 1 day of preparation time is inadequate for the harm they have suffered. Finally, the local will be assisting all staff who have not received the additional preparation time to which they are entitled in seeking compensation under the terms of the collective bargaining agreement. We hope the superintendent and school board work with us on a fair settlement that recognizes their additional work in this extraordinarily challenging year. As the judge noted, the superintendent was thoughtless in his argument that this year's learning is no different than years past, when students were gone for an illness or vacation. We are glad the court recognized the extra work that teachers have been doing to provide excellent lessons to students in the classroom and to those in distant learning. Sincerely, the DGF Executive Council, Kai Anderson, Melanie Christopherson, Lori Delbert, Ann Knudsen, Kayla Lauer, Karen Spilding, Beth Tollefson, Kimberly Wally, and Mary Wilson.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to rebel recognition. We had a wonderful day for graduation. I'm going to let David, as he had a graduate, tell us all about it.
Yeah, I think everything went really well. One of the things that just struck me that was really helpful was, I don't know who planned it, but the golf carts there to help older people. I know my dad got a ride in a golf cart and it was a lifesaver. I mean, it just really was nice. It was really hot and windy, but it really went well. No rain, no mishaps. I think everything went really well.
I thought it was outstanding.
Yeah.
You know, as a parent, and when I came there, I didn't know about the golf carts either. And I saw people taking advantage of it, and I, you know, just you know, you look at the effort of the kids as far as just that presence, what they were doing, and I just thought the kids responded extremely well. You know, kudos to Katie and Wayne for the work that they did, and it was just fun. It was just a real fun day. So I told my wife, I told Kathy when we got home, I could not have imagined the day going much better. And I loved the fact that how much the community enjoyed being out together on that field. And there'd been so much isolation. And the fact of them just, you know, nobody wanted to leave. And it was just fun to watch.
Wonderful. Anybody else have any rebel recognition?
The theater group put on a play.
That's right.
Yeah, performed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and it was fantastic. It was very funny. They actually had really good turnout for people coming to see it. So we didn't really know what would happen. It was an awkward time, but I think kids and Mr. Melvin put on a really good performance and during a tough time of the year too. So kudos to Andrew for doing such a good job.
Awesome. All right, anybody else? All right, well, let's move on to reports here. 6.1, Custodial Report.
We shared a report with you over the weekend. I don't know if you all have it. I have extras if you need it.
I think it's in our packet here.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay.
Tracy.
It's in the packet.
Yeah.
Yep, it's in the packet.
Overall, we'll just highlight a little bit. Back in late March, we had a conversation on custodial services, and I began working with Tammy and her team, and we tried to identify some things, but we wanted to kind of show you where we were in April. We had sent out a survey to the district to see overall some of the questions that we had identified and where the district thought we were. Overall, we just kind of highlight kind of what our day-to-day tasks are. I'll probably go down further into the strengths. Some of the things that we kind of identified for the department and through the survey was the communication. You'll see that I won't go through the numbers down below as you have those, but overall the communication that comes back from custodial regarding questions or comments, we fared really high. Overall, facilitating problem resolutions for issues, that was another strength. Some of the areas that we wanted to identify as some improvement areas were adding additional training. If it was department training, we wanted to make sure all the custodians at both sites had the same training on different areas. Some might be mainly in a classroom, so we wanted to make sure in the event that we had to pull somebody, they knew exactly what we needed to do. Another area of improvement we needed to focus on was the cleanliness. We wanted to raise that level of cleanliness across the district. Another area, quality of tasks. were we doing the tasks that were requested in the manner in which we should, and understanding the staff and district needs and requirements. Overall, when we did the survey, we had 81 respond to the survey and give us feedback. We did note the mean score down below, so you can kind of see overall where we were. You will see on the far left, 19 high school staff submitted a response, 14 middle school, Glendon Felton Elementary was 16, and Dilworth Elementary was 32. Overall, when you look at the customer service, one of the things that we wanted to see and what the response said was making sure that when the response did come in, it didn't kind of bounce back between custodial, maintenance, who was doing the task. So that was one area we saw that we need to make sure when the Rebel Help tickets come in, we identify right away whose it is, and we get to work on that. When it comes to resolving problems effectively, you'll see our score there of the 3.12, and we just want to make sure that we're responding timely and getting it done in the manner that's requested. Overall, the communication we fared well on, and overall the experience with custodial services, if it was a conversation over the phone, a Rebel Help ticket, anything like that, you'll see the score there. And then at the end, overall, what was the staff's score in how we were meeting their requests? Not just, this is what I think. Overall, if you submit the tickets, where do you think we fall? And if you look at that top right circle, you'll see our score. And when you compare that to the mean score, we realize that we had some work to do. So with that, Tammy and I, we sat down and we kind of problem solved with the team and with each other to come to the next page and identify kind of what are our goals and where do we want to go. Overall, the objectives: ensure that the facilities are safe, clean, orderly, and attractive with regards to the building usage. Create an educational environment and learning space that are well cared for and maintained to make sure that when staff, guests come into the building, it's clean. And then fostering a sense of professionalism and pride amongst the custodial staff. You know, sometimes when you look at a position, it might not be the most glorified position. And we want to make sure that they continue to feel, you know, excited and feel supported and all of that. So that's where Tammy and I, we've been chatting with the custodians and meeting with them regularly. We just met again today, so we've been doing that every week. Tammy's meeting with them every day to see where we are on different tasks and continually trying to support them as much as we can. Overall, what are our short and long range goals? We want to raise the level of standard of cleaning in the district-wide. We want to increase our training, and how we did that, you'll see down below when we get to the process improvements. Some of these are our short and long-term goals. We want to identify department efficiencies, and we want to promote collaboration and appreciation amongst the whole department and the district. How can we do that? Overall, we did the survey to get a benchmark of where we are. And we continue to follow up just sporadic. We don't want to inundate the staff with a survey every time they put in a request. So we just spot survey to see where we were. We haven't had a chance to look at where those are, but we'll bring those back to you at a later time. Department efficiencies, almost the hows and the whys. Why are we doing it this way? Is there any way we can do things more efficiently? One thing that Tammy's been doing is just going through each area and looking at it to see this is what's expected in the space, and did they do what they were supposed to do? If not, she's been having a one-on-one conversation with them to make sure that they're doing what they need to do. We reviewed the shifts. We really looked at what are the district needs, where are we at with the project, and what do we need to plan for. We've revised the shifts a little bit. So in the summer, we've normally done 7 to 3:30. Now we do 7 to 3:30. We might do an 8 to 4:30. We have some 10:30 to 7s or a 1 to 9:30. With the project, the buildings can be busy up until 5:30. So between that 5:30 and 9 o'clock, that's an opportunity for us to get into the district office, the offices, sweep the hallways and make sure they're clean and ready for the next day. We made sure that we have scheduled lunches and breaks, we have staff punching in and out. And then again, as we needed to, we've adjusted the hours for summer to meet the needs of the district for construction. We've also asked all the custodial staff, as you look at the summer, put in your vacation requests so we can plan accordingly. You know, when people get vacation, they get time off, they feel energized, they're ready to come back. So we kind of want to look at those as well and plan ahead. We've done department-wide training. We spent 5 days with all the custodians going through every single space on how to clean a bathroom, how to clean the gym, how to clean the classroom, what you do in an office. One space at a time with every group, with every custodian. We did that early April. Again, department meetings, walkthroughs all the time to make sure spaces are where they need to be, and if not, we put in a ticket, and that goes to that individual who's in that zone. We have additional people, instead of Tammy or myself, reviewing the Rebel Help tickets. Now we have people at both sites that review the Rebel Help tickets, so that if a Rebel Help ticket goes in at the Dilworth site, Tammy's here, Kurt will over in Dilworth look at the ticket and get it done. He has it on his mobile device. Custodial inventory, we've gone through all the inventory at both sites. The only thing Tammy is working on is making sure we have all the serial numbers for all the equipment in the spreadsheet. So we know what we have at Dilworth and what we have at Glendon. We've identified capital requests that we're requesting for the new year, and we'll have more conversation on that. Updated all the site maps so staff, custodians know which zone and what, if we've had to move things around where they are. We created a summer cleaning spreadsheet, and this might be beneficial for the staff. And what that is every single room is on this spreadsheet. And so that when a custodian is assigned that room, we'll know what week it's going to be cleaned, so that if Miss Bilby wants to get into her room, she'll know exactly when we're going to kind of clean that room, and then we'll check it off when it's done, and staff will have access to that spreadsheet so that they know when all of that's going to be done. Some might want to get in here a little earlier. And then overall communication, making sure we're doing our best to communicate out to the district, you know, what's going on, and if there's anything that we can do to support them any, you know, a little bit better. So that's kind of been our last month. Awesome. Any questions?
I'm busy.
Thanks for the work you guys put into this, and hopefully this will be a good solution.
Yeah.
Okay, maintenance report was James gonna be here? Okay, so we'll table the maintenance report. Board committee reports. Ronnie, you wanna do the fiscal personnel tonight? I always feel like I picked on David.
I thought you were doing
I
it.
could, that's no problem.
David's more tactful.
So one of the things we're looking at is solving of the business manager position. And we had a presentation by Brady Marks, which is an accounting firm. And they do, they perform essentially business manager positions at various schools in Minnesota. And it's, I would say it's kind of a new thing, but they've been doing it for a while. And they've got some larger schools in there.
They do East Grand Forks, Norman County East, and Fisher, are the three.
Like Barcon.
Oh, Lake Broadman also, okay.
And so, you know, the proposal would be for them to come in and essentially take over those responsibilities in total. And, you know, for the, what they propose is $85,000 for the first year and $88,000 for the second year, 2-year contract. And I mean, they essentially a little bit of a sales job, but they're explaining their expertise, their knowledge, and their experience. And so the idea would, they would have somebody in the office 2 days a week, and so they would be able to essentially, from their experience, look like that, having somebody in the office 2 days a week, and then available the rest of the time to help handle those matters. And so that it brings a certain level of expertise in having accounting firm. We've got a broad range of experience doing audits for schools in the state of Minnesota. And I think both Brian and Shannon, have talked with Brady Marks and are comfortable with that, with how that would work. And it does provide some opportunities, perhaps with some other folks too, to maybe move some duties around a little bit. I don't know, is there anything I missed in that? Probably went on too long.
I think their biggest thing that I think they understand Minnesota school finance. They're involved with Region 1, the UFARs, they understand that, ESSER funds, legal compliance rules. I mean, there's a lot of benefits. And then also if someone is out because they're ill or, someone moves on, there's someone to fill in. There's not that gap in transition time.
Or training.
Training.
I mean, it's just, you hire a firm to do it and, they have that responsibility and there's, they've got other things that they can bring to the table too. If we need additional help with payroll, for instance, or with, forensic accounting or something like that. So there's some other opportunities that go with that.
For a different fee. And
Yeah,
that's outside the normal fee.
But they would have familiarity with the district then.
Is Cindy no longer?
Cindy will be done in June.
She's done in June, and Gina is gone.
And she'll be, that basically is the transition timeline, because Gina's contract is done June 30th officially, and Cindy will help out in the transition, and then she'll also be available during the audit to help with that. So, and Brady Marks is for northwestern Minnesota. They're probably, they are the majority of school districts in northwestern Minnesota uses Brady Marks. So they're the top ones there. So
for auditing purposes.
Pardon? For auditing purposes. And so if you do the business management part, you can't do the audit. So that works out well. They would be helping out with doing the business management, and then we would have our regular auditors doing that. But at least you've got the consistency with it, because both of those firms are both of them are well established, well known, well respected, and work directly with Region 1. So I can say this, that it was an absolute relief to me knowing that was an option. With this transition, I feel really comfortable with their expertise.
They have a cargo office.
What's the cost difference between like Gina's position and?
It actually, as I was, because I got asked that question. I mean, when you look at salary and benefits, it's actually cheaper doing outsourcing.
Okay. I was thinking with the benefits piece that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
Yeah,
better.
Eric shared was quite a bit more than this
Yeah.
was, so. I don't know, does Shannon have a question when he's on them?
Do we not need someone in the office every day then? This can just be handled the 2 days a week? There's not like a
Well,
day-to-day?
the thing is, it's, so much of the processing with POs and what else not can be done on, so much of that is online. You look at what Cindy's been doing a lot. I do the same thing. If I'm working at night at home, I can go on serves, I can go on set, I can go into these same sites and do the work at home. So that's the advantage, is that because so much of it is now, it's no longer the paper pencil type of work with the business management. 25, 30 years ago,
Yeah, it's been really difficult.
you could, 25, 30 years ago,
So they
when I
might
was a
still be
business manager,
working those other 3 days, like online,
they would be available, yeah.
so they
And
might be doing stuff for us.
What part of this will be is trying to figure out what's the fit. We've done cross-training with Brooke in the first place. So part would be that Brooke is that direct contact, working with Shannon then as if something comes up. If something comes up, just like we do right now, if I need a PO run, If I didn't have somebody else there in the office, Brooke would run the PO. She'd get me the PO number and all that. So we do have that cross-training that we've already done. So it's not like if something needs to happen on Monday or Wednesday or Friday, that you're stuck waiting for that following Tuesday. Now, this is more, and with so many things, like, for instance, right now, we're waiting in services where we get all the grants, the federal money coming in. And right before this meeting started, I was on the phone with Brandon over Moorhead, because they're just starting to load that into the state system. And I'll do all that at home tonight.
Shannon, do you have anything you want to add and share with the board? You're the ones that contacted the other schools to find out their thoughts.
Yeah, I guess that's why I wanted to pop on here, just so the rest.
Click it a second.
But you look good.
You still can't hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, I think it takes a little while to delay, but the reason I got on here is just so the rest of the board knows that I've been through this process with Brian from the beginning. I've talked to Mike Colness, superintendent of East Grand Forks. I've talked to Evan Hansen at Fisher. I've talked to Rob Nudell at Norman County East. All three of them have stated how happy they are with their agreement with Brady Marks. The biggest thing for me is that the state is always going to be taken care of, and our coding is going to be always correct. And we're not going to find out 3 months, 6 months later that we have some coding issues and UFARs violations and grant money that wasn't spent correctly or itemized correctly. So this is a big deal for me, and I think it is for that district. Just know that we're going to be in a good place. We have the cost of this more than what you're already paying. In fact, I believe it's going to be a little less. Anytime I have questions, I can call them. So if they're on site, great, I can go visit with them in their office. But when they're off site, I can still have access to them and get my answers. So at this time, in my opinion, it's just a no-brainer. Just because Minnesota School Finance, as you guys know, as Brian has fought through this process the last 6 months to a year with Cindy's retirement, you just can't find people that understand the system because it's so complex, it's ridiculous. So the other part of it, and then I'll stop, is that, like they said, they can't do our auditing, and you already have Bailey, so that's good. But the efficiency of that audit will be night and day different than if you had, even for Cindy's sake, it's just a headache for Cindy, I'm sure, when it's audit season, because what the auditors want, and then you got to dig it out and find it. Well, now we're dealing with another accounting firm that gets it completely because they still audit schools. So I just think there's an efficiency part of this, and we're actually paying $85,000 to get a job done, and that's a significant job in a district your size. So I just wanted to pop on so you guys know that I'm in full support of this. So.
Thank you, Shannon. I wrote down here, the cost. This does include their travel costs. So if they're coming up from their northern offices and down, that's included. There's no surprises. And if we needed to add anything on, obviously like the forensic accounting or say payroll services, well, if there's something outside the contract, we can negotiate that with them. So,
Is that Amanda gonna come here, or she's
Yes.
gonna set us up?
No, well, she's going to be the one for year one, and who knows by year two. It's that was something I think both Shannon and I were pretty locked in on, is that you've got to have, we need the strongest people that they got, and not trying to do training with new, instead of having Amanda as support for the newer people, let's have Amanda, and then she can mentor their newer people. And as they get trained in, then they can be the ones to come on board. Having that consistency right away is pretty critical. And the only thing that is going to be, I think, a little bit of a learning curve for them is going to be the special ed component.
Yep.
And it's just something because most school districts are in co-ops. But we've walked through that with them. So that they're well aware. But we have a highly competent special ed director. So I feel very comfortable if that's the one area that they don't, because East Grand's in a co-op. So they haven't had to do that with East Grant. They're an ASIC. So, and I'm aware of that, and that's, because of being up there. I figure that might be one issue for them, but again, feel really comfortable that we've got a highly competent special ed director. That's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, and I'll just finish with two quick things here. Brian's right. The special ed thing was a point of emphasis for us to discuss, but they have a team of people. Again, you must remember. So they're not just, Amanda's not by herself there at Brady Mark. She can call her team to help support her in that. So that's what also gives me that confidence that we know it's going to be done right. And working alongside Mary Ann Martin, I have no issue or no concerns with that special ed piece moving forward. The last thing is that you guys, we have to retreat in June. We're hoping to have more discussion. If you have questions moving forward, please reach out to Brian or myself. And we're going to reach out to Brady Marks to make sure questions are answered. So then during that retreat, we can hopefully make some final decisions or discussions there. So at the June 14th board meeting, we can approve that contract. So between now and then, we have some time to discuss it if you have further questions.
Perfect, thank you.
Amanda's upper management for that, so she's in the upper echelons of doing it. And she does 2 days a week now, I think Monday and Friday, and they were thinking about it. Tuesday and Thursday down here works good for Shannon, so.
Yep.
So yeah, I think moving forward, we agreed on fiscal personnel that this is a feasible option and something that would help this transition process with not having, someone training. This is their job, this is what they do, so. And the benefit already of having Ike Bailey, they do our audits, we have no conflict of interest. It kind of works so nice. Fiscal personnel, we talked about other things.
So, the other thing we talked about was looking at the land for sale by the church. The St. Elizabeth Catholic Church in Dilworth. So I think Brian is probably going to talk with Frank Gross about seeing what could be done, seeing what the interest is there. I think they've come to Brian because they know he had some interest, and so we'll find out a little bit more where they are from a price perspective, and I guess we'll go from there. But it's heating up a little bit, and one of the thoughts too is in terms of the lot that we have with the house on it, and we talked about having a building on there at some point in time, but that really cut down parking, so it would give us some different options if it were to work out. So.
That's what's happening.
That's pretty much all we got.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go over, Brian's gonna go over capital a little bit tonight. That will be finalized June 14th. Yeah, he just handed those out, so we can take a look at that, but, okay, any other committee reports? I suppose we can tell the public we went and toured the Career Academy last Wednesday. We got a very nice tour of that, and it's going to be an awesome opportunity. So I'm looking forward to David and Laura getting to sit down and talk money and how many spaces are DGF kids. But yeah, anybody have thoughts on what you saw?
I missed out.
That's
So,
okay. You had to play. We understand. You had a busy week. You had to do
crazy.
job things. That's okay.
Dad jobs.
You will get more opportunities.
Yeah.
I guarantee that.
I just thought it was a really great facility, and I think it's going to open up so many avenues for the kids that are able to go and want to have those interests outside of the traditional classroom settings. Even they talked about even having math there or something so they can bridge the gap.
I just, when you walked around, it never seemed that big when you would shop in it. Yeah, it was big, but I mean, you could, that was like a labyrinth in there.
Like they said, they built the whole second level in the middle of it, so right now they got 174,000 square feet under that roof.
Wow.
So and wear good walking shoes if you're going to take it.
Yeah.
Walking.
I love their bathrooms.
Yeah, that's cool.
Bathrooms were, I love it.
Very cool. You'll get a chance to go there, I promise. We'll set up another one.
And a big sensor in each one of the stalls.
All right. So 6.4, Brian, Superintendent Report.
So where we're at with things right now in capital is everything has been, we're at the point of just all of the things that have been requested, whether it be from at the site levels, have all been put into those pages. I know you need a magnifying glass to be able to go through them, and don't, remember, you have access to this full document. Everybody in the district does. This is the capital expenditures spreadsheet. So if you haven't, if you're doing a search on your drive and what's been shared with you, it's just the capital expenditures one. We got tabs for each one of these sheets. And then basically what happens is, today we were meeting, I met with the principals, met with Mary Ann, do a separate meeting with Tracy. Joe was updating some things on the athletics. We had a couple surprises there. We talked about the outbuilding on athletics. I also give you the colored sheet that just shows, this was everything during this year. Now, there are some that don't have the final numbers, but that's been part of this transition with having multiple business managers and what else not. But really, you're looking at the estimated cost is pretty accurate when you look at that color-coded one. So basically, the way this works is we have all of the requests put into the capital expenditures one each year, and then we sit down, admin cabinet-wise. I sit down with the department heads, and let's talk about prioritization of the different requests. There's certain areas that there wasn't prioritizations done at the meetings, at the site level. Well, those things are going to wait, because if staff members don't sit down as a department and prioritize them as a department, then they're going to sit. And they need to communicate with each other. And instead of just, let's put it together, individual wish lists. And that's in a couple of departments that will continue to, the principals will be working through that with their staff members. But basically you can see, whether it be athletics, you can see all the different ones this year, this past year, and even for this year. When you look at the FY21, there are, we don't have carpet and tile things. When we get the construction project done, those are included in that project. So for instance, you think of some of the carpeting in any of the rooms in the media, offices, media center offices, those will get done either this summer or next summer as part of it. But it's part of the construction project, so it won't have to go through these dollars. I gave you, the other reason I gave you the FY21 sheet is when you look over on the right-hand side, if you can read that small print on the upper right, you can see some of the different revenue sources that generate these funds to get this type of a budget. And they include the LTFM, so the long-term facility management money, the capital, safe schools funds, and then the excess levy. We want the public to be aware. We promised back in 2013 that the two main things that excess money on ballot question 2 would be utilized for was technology directly for kids and counselors. So this, to continue to show the public that that's where we're taking and utilizing those funds, that we're not using it for other purposes. It's not going into salaries of personnel, any of us. It's going directly for the things that we said we'd do with the public. The grants, there's always some grants, E-rate in particular. Jake does a fantastic job with E-rate funds. One thing that'll be on the FY22, and you guys will be getting access, I'm working on that as one of my tasks this week, now that I've met with all the admin team about the requests. I've created an FY22 one, just like this FY21, and we'll start transferring over those things. Now, there are some items that, if you look at the technology pieces, that sheet is the last one. You can see how well organized Jake's been with that. You can just see year after year. He's always set it up very well. Summer of 21, all of those that are in the dark color on summer of 21, those are things we're planning. We typically spend on a yearly basis, this past year, it was 150. By the time we got done, remember we also ordered computers through CARES money. So when you look at the technology sheet, and it talks about replacing some of the machines, and we bought a lot more machines this year because we had the CARES money. So we were able to do that in the middle of the year. It wasn't out of our normal capital funds. It was out of some of those federal dollars. There is, when you get the FY22 report this year, this week, besides these categories that are on the FY21, you'll see the ESSER 2 and the ESSER 3 funds coming from the federal money. The other thing that you'll be seeing is there is a meeting that's going to be taking place. There's some added federal funds, technology specific, and there's some big money in that. So Jake and I and Brandon at Moorhead and Dan at Moorhead, we're all going to sit down and try to figure out the best uses of some of those funds between the school districts. What may go for some of the tech needs at the Career Academy, what may go at the site specific for each individual district. So there's another pot of money that's outside of these normal funds. In the past, we've typically budgeted somewhere between $750,000 to $900,000 on a yearly basis for all of this stuff, including, like when you look at the very last page, everything that has to do with our textbooks and curriculum supplies, and in particular, what's become much more relevant over the last few years are these online subscriptions, because they, as you can tell, they really add up. And so when you look at those highlighted ones at the bottom of that page, you know, math expressions, we paid $111,000 this past year. That was half the bill. And then we got $50,000 this year coming up, and $50,000 again in fiscal 23. So that's in the plans for the long-term plans for this. The hope is that we get this information. We've got to order some of the tech before the 14th. Okay? Are you comfortable with that? It's stuff that we know is in the budget. We do it every year. It's some of those student machines. If we don't get those orders going now, we won't have them ready by the start of school. So typically that's stuff that we've got to order before June 14th. Anybody have any issues with that? It's part of the money that we do from the excess from 2013. So I told Jake, I'll bring it up to the board, but that is, it's money that's earmarked by going to the voters. So I figured we got to make sure that we do that and have that ready for the fall. So we'll run that. Otherwise, when we get to the retreat, all this stuff should be in place. So it's just a matter of going over, that gives you guys an opportunity as board members to talk to the principals. As an example, some of these subscriptions, especially at the elementary level, there are subscriptions for some things that need to be faded out at some point in time because of our what we purchased with math expressions. So that should be replacing some of those things. But because we're not done with the construction project, because we still have the 2 elementaries, it was pretty much unanimous today that let's not phase it out this coming year. We need every resource possible with the intervention needs that we've got with needs for kids. So it would be something that next summer, Shannon and you guys would be having conversations about. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we'll talk about it more at the retreat, and then come back, the board meeting on the 14th to give you the final numbers. That will give us a chance to set up an operations type of meeting, also to go over the list with operations, and that way both fiscal and everybody's seeing all the numbers.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
For the summer of 22, the classroom touch displays, is that replacing the smart boards?
Yes, and they started working on putting some of those in this year. And then it's replacing, and so as you notice, that's a hefty ticket.
Which one are you looking at, Lauren?
It's on the technology at the bottom for FY '22.
The last page? Yeah, under summer of
Touch
22.
displays, right?
Approximately 100 of them, so
Okay. Oh, the 300,000.
300,000. And that's, Jake normally when he puts these things together, he goes with eyeball numbers, but they're not cheap. But then again, when the smart boards came up, they weren't cheap either. So everything over time. So this is everything on the capital. Basically, this week, what I'm working on is the capital with all of the admin cabinet, getting all of those numbers, and then work with Cindy on it. And then we had, as has been brought up at a couple of board meetings, we had requests for extra compensation from staff. We're going through those requests. I had a meeting this morning with our attorneys. We got to make some decisions. The attorneys will have to give us some recommendations whether we've got some of those requests that are coming in that are absolutely inaccurate numbers, and it's just a question of whether they will be recommending looking at fraud for some of it. So that has to be dealt with, and we'll get recommendations coming from, for instance, our elementary teachers had 25 already built in over the contract, and putting requests in for being compensated for 30 minutes every day. So that was one of them that the attorneys pointed out right away. And so when you file these sheets saying that you're requesting and that all of this is, things that you have not been reimbursed for already, just let the attorneys deal with it. I'm not going to touch it. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through the sheets and figure out the differences in the dollars. So that will be on the task this week.
All right, any questions for Brian? All right, 7.1, approval of our May 10th regular board meeting. Do we have a motion to approve? So moved. Motion by Amy, is there a second? Second. Second by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, claims and accounts this month. It's a big bill.
$622,150.48.
All right, also included in your packet is the treasurer's report and fund total report, Minnesota liquid asset and max account, activities account reports. We're approving 2 donations tonight, one from the Felton Community Club in the amount of $50 for post prom, and the Glen and Felton Parents Group in the amount of $250 for the Glen and Felton Elementary FIAD class. We want to say thank you to those groups for recognizing the school and our students. Resignation, Brittany Duche, paraprofessional, effective May 5th. Resignation of Trevor Olson, paraprofessional, effective the end of the school year. And the resignation of Andrea Anderson, paraprofessional, effective the end of the school year. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Amy, Nicole, you want a second?
Sure.
Any questions or discussions?
One question on Tracy left from two. How many John Deere mowers do we have? More than one.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I saw the bill for some parts for it, and I thought, I hope it wasn't a new one that's under warranty that they were fixing.
No, we definitely have more than one, and if you look at that, not the indoor equipment, the outdoor equipment, you'll see for the last number of years, all the different John Deere equipment. That's why we probably didn't have any requests this year for outdoor equipment, because we spent quite a bit over the last couple of years.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, new and unfinished business, 9.1, this is policy 808. This would carry to rescind the approval of the mask policy, COVID-19 face covering policy. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. Any discussion?
I know it's gonna break your heart, Amy.
I'm so sad.
All
We said
right,
if we wanted face masks, we vote no, that's what you said, right?
Exactly.
all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, 9.2, go ahead on milk bids. Chelsea submitted to our new board member. She does this every year, so she does comparisons here. So if we just want to look at the milk bid, Land O'Lakes did not submit a milk bid for requested, so Chelsea is recommending we go with Cass Clay. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by David, is there a second? Second by Laura. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Red bids. All right, so we have Panel Gold and we have Bimbo Bakery. Chelsea says my recommendation is to stay with the Panel Gold Company for the 21-22 school year. The bread items we purchase in high volume are less expensive with Panel Gold, and we continue to have great customer service and excellent product quality with them. We have a motion to approve. Motion by Laura. Is there a second?
Second.
Second was Brittany?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions or discussion?
I'm assuming she means then that the hamburger and hot dog buns are the ones most used. I think she said they were the ones that were cheaper.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, as far the most used ones, yes, because they're higher on some of them. So it makes up for it based on.
I know a couple years back, we did approve the Bimbo contract, but I think there was just a lot of product quality issues and not having follow through. She was having a difficult time with the reps, so.
Service with that piece, yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0. All right, I'm missing a piece here. Oh, here we go. 9.4 meal prices. Everything will be free in FY, the first meal. So, am I reading that right? Yeah. Adult breakfast is $3, adult lunch $4.25. So everything's going up about a quarter or 10 cents for breakfast. Free and reduced is always free. This kind of a typical norm for our new board members. A little adjustment every year. So
And it isn't just free and reduced either, right? Aren't all of them?
all students will be getting free meals next
Right.
year.
And as far as, it really isn't one of those that we can, just for the new board members, they have to put it all into a particular formula, and then that comes up with what you must charge. And if you don't charge that amount, then you're gonna lose reimbursement. So it's not one of those things that, why do we raise it when we don't need to raise it? We need to raise it.
Do you know if for next year with the free breakfast and lunches, if a child doesn't take a school lunch, that they would still pay for their milk? Is that still staying the same?
That'd be a great question.
If they only wanted a milk, you're saying, and they didn't
Yeah,
take,
like my kids primarily I pack their lunches, and so they would have to pay for their milk, but if they got school lunch, they didn't have to pay.
I don't know if I can answer that, because I don't know how they have to, why don't you email me that, so I can check, if you don't mind, so I can check with her, because sometimes it all comes down to how they have to record all this stuff, and whether, you typically, a lot of times, the kids put their extra milks, into an area, and the kids can just come and grab those extra ones. So I don't, a lot of the kids do that, but typically, they may have to actually put them down for the full meal to get that for the reimbursement. Otherwise, you charge them just for the milk. So let me check into that with her. on the recs, because they're real finicky when it comes to the national school lunch program.
All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hey, Nicole. Is there a second? Amy, you want a second? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.5, this is our ESY contracts. We have several teachers, and you'll see their hours, what they get paid up to so many hours. I will save everybody the long list, and it's posted on our website if anybody's interested in seeing what people get paid. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by David, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ronnie. Any questions or discussion for Brian?
So this all processed through special. Okay, so if it's ESY, it's special ed automatically. So we run it through that process through federal funds and such.
Did we find everybody that we needed for that?
We're approving one tonight.
For ESY, yes, we're in good shape. Whether we have everybody for summer school programming, that is still, they're still counting through how many kids and families are going to take advantage.
Sure. All right, any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. 9.6, record disposal. This is also in our packet, so special education reports, 18 years from date of birth plus 7 years, district records, finance records from 2013-14, payroll records from 2013-14, food service records from 2013-2014, and referendum election records in here. Do we have a motion? Motion by David, is there a second? Second. Second by Laura, any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 9.7, sports medicine contract. This is to approve the FY22 through FY26 sports medicine contract with Sanford as presented. Do we have a motion? Motion by Amy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. Is there any
Do we
questions?
have the percentage?
I think they emailed it to us?
Yeah, because it's not in your packet.
I feel like it was emailed. Let me look, Ronnie.
It's the rates haven't changed. It's basically a continuation of the same ones for the next 3 years. So they've been really good. They've been really good.
Yeah, yeah.
They've been really good.
Let's see. Did you want a dollar amount, Ronnie? I'm trying to see here.
I don't even remember the dollar amount.
It's like 8,000 and something for the year.
It could be because, it seems to me it's under 10,000. And when you look at the fact that then they're turning around and giving us 5,000 for weight room equipment each of the next 2 years.
Is it a 3-year contract, they said, or 2? I think it was.
It's a 22 to
22
26.
through 26. So you're talking,
Like 80 days or something.
Because the one contract she sent us had the cost for the previous
Did this
years.
come from the broker or where?
Yeah,
I think it
I
was just
didn't remember
today.
seeing it, but that's fine.
yeah, it just came today, yeah.
Then I didn't.
Oh, I already
know.
am.
No.
Okay,
So I don't think much has changed.
No, it's
Pretty much stayed the same contract.
like 4,900 plus some.
All right, any other discussion or questions? I think it's around 4,800 a
one of
year.
the cheaper ones we got.
Yeah,
I think it's 4,900 a year.
how
Yeah, let's
much?
say 4,900.
Less than 5.
4,900 a year.
And we're getting $5,000 each of the next 2 years in equipment.
So, 4 years contract then, is that what this is?
Looks like it, yeah.
Thank you.
all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, 9.8, this is a certified contract for Kristen Wayne. This will be a special education teacher, MA plus 20, step 7, effective the start of the school year, 21-22. Do we have a motion? Motion by Laura. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole. Any questions or discussion?
So typically what, we've had the last couple of years where we've had to have people filling in on like tier 1 licenses. The good thing is right now, it's very possible that we won't have that. And so, there may be, at least in one case, one of our people that is on a tier 1 that will not be hired back. But maybe potential for some subbing, because the person does have a 4-year degree, they just don't have a teaching degree. So, that person, Mary Ann has sat down and talked to the individuals that are involved with any of that. We also have some teachers that have been doing intervention services. And that probably will continue because we're not going to be decreasing the intervention services. If anything, with the ESSER funds, we'll probably be increasing. So.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.9, non-certified contract for Mackenzie Vinci for custodian effective May 25th of 21. Do we have a motion?
So,
I got Amy.
I'll
Brittany,
second.
you want to second it?
Yeah.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
Back to Brian's. Do we have an idea when the attorney's going to have a recommendation for us as far as use of the extra funds that were requested and all, when that all will balance itself out?
It will be over the next week and a half.
Oh, okay, so fairly soon we should have.
Very much so, because we got to make some decisions on that, whether we appeal. And again, they'll have those discussions between the attorneys, whether, based on what was submitted, based on what the district, and like I said, some of these things were pointed out right away when the attorneys got the information and then went through the court and the
There should be a
documents.
resolution fairly soon.
Absolutely, it's going to be finalized, one way or the other, over the next week and a half. Because if we're going to appeal it otherwise and go that route, then that'll be by, within, I think there's a deadline on that, that Zach was going to be checking on today and get back to me. So,
Awesome, sorry. Can I ask a question too?
you just did.
Another one. What you were saying about summer school, do we have a timeline for that?
We know that they're planning on starting summer school within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So I think they already have the deadline. I talked to Margot this morning. So they were, I think they had to have it in either Friday or today, as far as if they were going to take advantage of the summer school opportunities. And
What grades?
well, we actually have summer school plans, elementary, middle school, and there's some with the high school, like talking to Katie. It's just different because it's credit recovery on the one side. And at the elementary level, it's based on which kids qualify based on their assessment tests. And so the fun part for all of them right now is all of the administrators, they're having to set up, okay, what if the power goes down or we lose water at this site? Where do we move the kids to? Which classrooms are going to be at Dilworth? Which are the classrooms that are going to be utilized for the Dilworth Elementary, the kids that go to Dilworth Elementary? And then what if we have to move the Glendon Felton Elementary kids over to Dilworth? And so they're going through each of the maps, trying to come up with what are those alternative rooms. And then the same thing based on when the middle school has theirs. So they're spending a little time trying to put all of that stuff together.
And I'm assuming they'll have to hire,
Yes,
and then they'll probably hear more about it in a couple weeks.
definitely. Because by the time we're done with the retreat, they should already have that going at the
Yeah.
elementary level. I think the elementary's looking at like, what, 3 weeks in June, 3 weeks in July? And the middle school, I believe, is looking to have it all done in June. So it all comes down to with some of the personnel and who's able to work when and trying to get the best fit in the long weeks. I think middle school's looking at 4 weeks, elementary's looking at 6 weeks total time.
Okay.
I think that's what I told the reporter, Tanner, today that's gonna be on DAY today at 10. He was asking me questions about that. I think it is 6 weeks, elementary, 4 weeks next week, high school.
Thank you.
Okay, just a reminder, June 10th and 11th, we're going to have our school board retreat. On June 10th, we'll come in the afternoon. We're going to talk, our talk is about high functioning boards. I'm still waiting for Katie Clanzer to send me information on that. On June 11th, we'll be talking about our ESSER funds and capital purchases, as well as administration for the next year. So that's June 10th and 11th. Then we'll have our meeting on June 14th. We're going to be prepared to approve a ton of stuff at that meeting. Brian will not be here at that meeting, correct? Brian will not be here at that meeting. So there will be no fiscal personnel or operations that night. We'll just come into the board meeting. So bring your questions, be prepared for good discussion on June 10th and 11th. And I think that's it.
I will be there for the last meeting in June.
Are we normally done about noon on Friday?
Yeah, we'll come in the afternoon and then it's, we'll start right away in the morning and be done by.
Meetings that evening too, right?
Yep.
Thursday night.
Yep,
And that'll be, I'm gonna come in Wednesday and be there Wednesday and during the day on Thursday. And then basically pass the baton, so to speak. We'll need both of us to make cooks in the kitchen. Because by that point, Thursday night, then you guys can have, I think it's important for you guys to have time with Sharon and with the admin cabinet. So I'll get out of there, so.
all right, meeting adjourned, 7:08. Brittany, can you stop that recording, please?
If you don't mind even log me out, Brittany, if you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
On the 6th.